Okay. All right. So we're not going to really need to, we really don't need to. I said we don't really need to share the screen. The only reason I'm doing this is so that it can record our conversations. So let's get started with the time when you moved from Atlanta to Panama. And in our last session, we had talked about how you went early by yourself, and Ann couldn't come down right down at that time because Noriega was causing a problem. But that ended pretty quick with the revolution. He was deposed, and then Ann came on down. And do you happen to remember what year that was?
89.
Okay.
I went down in October of 89.
Great. Okay. And did you tell me that you lived on the military base the whole time you were there?
No, I lived downtown in a condo.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Do you remember the name of the condo?
No.
Okay. And I know you've told me this before, but go ahead and tell me 2 or 3 or 4 people that you and Ann were friends with down there.
Well, I was friends with Sam McGinnis. I was friends with Jameson Chi.
What was the last name? Jameson who?
Chi, C-H-E-E, Oriental guy.
Okay.
Barbara Bacot, B-A-C-O-T.
Okay.
Michelle Millant.
Millant, spell that.
M-E-L-A-N-T.
Okay.
How many folks you need to know?
That's fine. That's fine. You can add more later if you decide you want to do that. So, I just have a curiosity. Did they have?
Anna and Manuel Chiquilani.
You better spell Chiquilani.
C-H-I-K-A-L-A-N-I, I guess it is. I don't know.
Okay. All right. So, a question: Did they have American baseball down there?
I don't know.
Okay. All right.
Not that I participated in or knew about while I was there.
All right. So, what did you and Ann do on the weekends?
What did we do on weekends?
Yep.
Well, I don't remember.
Okay. All right. Fine. Do you remember? Did Ann work down there?
No.
Okay. Is there anything that you want to tell me about that happened during the period you were there? Anything memorable?
Anything that happened? Well, before Ann came down there, about a month after I got to Panama, the U.S. Army invaded Panama to take Noriega out of power, and I was downtown in a condo down there, and no one was told that was going to happen. So because they wanted to keep it quiet, and it'd be a surprise. And of course, when they took Noriega out, it also took out his police force, because his police force and his National Guard all were the same people, the same organization.
Yeah.
And so when we took out his National Guard or his army, we took out the police force in Panama, and there was no law and order down there for a while, and it was pretty bad, because you'd be sitting in a restaurant, and crooks would come in and just rob everybody in the restaurant and leave.
Wow.
Or you'd be driving down the road, and you stop at a stoplight, and some guy on the side of the road would walk up to your car. He had a paper bag in his hand. Inside that paper bag would be a big stone, and he just hit the window of the car and break it out and reach in and grab anything you might have in the car.
Mm.
And you couldn't do anything because you couldn't. He'd run off, and you couldn't do anything because there were cars in front of you, cars behind you, you know, waiting for the light to change. So it was a bad time in Panama at that time. But finally, they solved the problem, and they hired a police force and got everything back to normal. But there was about a couple of months there when you had to carry a gun. Anyway,
During that invasion, during that time, was there gunfire in the streets?
during the invasion,
Yeah.
yeah, it was, yeah.
Okay, so what'd you and Ann do? Just stay in your condo, or I mean, that's all
Well,
you could
Ann
do?
wasn't down there. Ann wasn't down there when
Oh,
all
that's right.
this.
That's right. Yeah. Okay. So you were not required to go to work during that time when that was going on. You just stayed in the condo, right?
Yeah, under the bed.
No. Well, I know you're joking about it, but see, you've mentioned several times, every time we've talked about this, you've mentioned that Ann couldn't come down there right now, and I'm glad to get more detail. I knew that it was because of Noriega, but I didn't know if there was gunfire in the streets, people were getting killed, or what it was like. So,
Yeah. It was a war zone.
so you other munitions other than just rifles, there were grenades and things like that going on?
Machine guns, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Whew. So your condo, how tall was it?
I don't know. I was up probably on the 5th or 6th floor, I guess. I don't
Okay.
know.
So it'd be
I don't
better,
know.
safer up there than on the ground floor, huh?
No, I wasn't on the ground floor.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else?
No, except that after Ann came down, we used to enjoy sometime going out to the canal watching the ships come through the locks.
Yeah. I think you mentioned that before. Okay. So now, when you moved from Panama, did you move directly to Gulf Shores, or did you go back to Atlanta first?
I went to Atlanta first, and we stayed in Atlanta for just a very short period of time, and then came to Gulf Shores.
And when you first came to Gulf Shores, did you move right into the house that you lived in all that time? You bought that house, or did you stay in an apartment?
We bought the house, and the way all of that happened is that before I went to Panama, I was thinking about retiring in the early fall of '89. I was eligible to retire, but so Ann and I, we knew we wanted to come to Gulf Shores, so we knew we wanted to come to the Gulf of Mexico because we had visited here several times, vacationed here several times.
Well, hold on a second, David. You had said earlier that 1989 was the year that you went down to Panama.
That's right, in October of that year.
Okay, so when was it then that you left Panama?
You mean move from Panama back to
To Atlanta, right?
Yeah, that was in '95 when I retired.
Okay, so there's some confusion here. So you moved to Panama in 1989, and you were there about 5 or 6 years then.
That's right.
Okay, so in 1995, you moved back to Atlanta.
We moved back to stay a short time in Atlanta. We didn't have a house there or anything.
Okay.
We stayed there for about a couple of weeks, and then came on down to Gulf Shores.
Okay. 1990.
But I wanted to tell you about how all of that happened.
Okay.
Earlier, before October of '89, I was thinking of retiring before I went to Panama. And I got the offer to go to Panama because it was a big pay raise, and your retirement from the Army, civilian in the military is the retirement, civilian retirement is based on your high 3 years that you worked at, your average salary for the high 3 years, the highest 3 years you worked. That's the way they compute your retirement. And so I knew if I went to Panama and accepted the job, my retirement would be a lot bigger than it would be if I just retired, in '89.
Okay.
So I accepted the job in Panama. But before we accepted the job in Panama, when I thought we were going to retire, we came to the Gulf Coast to look for a place to live, houses and everything, because we thought we were going to retire right then. And we came to Gulf Shores and we looked at oceanfront property all the way down from Gulf Shores all the way down to St. Joe, Florida.
Port St. Joe. Port St. Joe.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the reason, and then we got the job to go to Panama, and I accepted it, and I went to Panama. Well, the whole time that we were in Panama, the only real estate agent that we had contacted when we were thinking about retiring in '89 was Lillian Bemis.
Bill Bemis?
Huh?
Bill Bemis?
Bemis, I think.
Or is it B-A-M-I? Yeah. Is it B-E-A or B?
I don't know how she spells it.
Okay.
But Lillian Bemis was the only real estate agent that kept in touch with us, and she always sent me a birthday card, and she sent us anniversary cards and things like that when we were in Panama. So when we decided to retire in '95, we decided to come to Gulf Shores, and I contacted Lillian Bemis, and she found us a house, and that's where we lived on Flora Point Lane.
Okay. And you might notice on the screen that I just found her on Facebook, and she spells it B-E-M-I-S.
Yeah. That's
Okay.
right.
Okay. And so she found that place for you, and you just right off the bat, she said, that's what we want.
Yeah.
Okay. And tell me again what part of Gulf Shores that is in.
It's on Fort Morgan Road. It's the street right before Lower Point Lane is the street right before the Holy Spirit Church.
Okay. So if you're going out Fort Morgan Road, it would be on the right.
On the right.
Okay. Okay, great. Okay. So we got a lot of ground to cover now. So you came to Gulf Shores, you retired, your kids were both living in Atlanta at that time, right? Both of them were married. And had all of your grandchildren been born?
Well, not both of them lived in it. David Jr. lived in Atlanta.
That's right. Debbie lived in Fairhope.
She lived in Fairhope, right.
Okay. How did she ever get to Fairhope before you and Ann got to Gulf Shores?
How did what?
How did Debbie how did she happen to settle in Fairhope before you and Ann moved to Gulf Shores?
Well, she was married, and that's where they lived.
Right, but I never could understand how she met a boy from down here if you were living in Atlanta and Panama.
I don't understand your question.
Well, y'all didn't
What
have
does me being in Panama have to do with who she married or how she found out who she was going to marry?
Well, you were living in Atlanta, of course, Nashville, then Atlanta, then Panama, and I just didn't understand how she would have happened to have met a boy from Gulf Shores or from this area.
Well, he wasn't from this area. Wait a minute.
That's okay. That's not important anyway.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Okay.
I don't remember how she met the guy or where she was when she met. I don't remember that part.
Okay. So then when you first moved here, you immediately joined First Methodist Church of Gulf Shores. Okay.
That's correct.
And you immediately joined the choir, right?
Yeah.
Okay. About how long do you think it was that you were in that church before you started meeting with the group on the beach?
Probably about 6 months.
Okay. All right, great. So you were that core of people, that great group of people that I think there was about 15, 16, 17 married couples that eventually formed St. Andrew. We've got all the information we need on that, and major way eventually to the location on Fort Morgan Road where St. Andrew by the Sea is now. So kind of a question that I had is that out of those, say, 17 couples, Joan Hen right off the bat put together a little choir, right?
Yeah.
Do you remember how many people were in it? What, maybe 10 or a dozen?
Okay. We really didn't have a choir at when we were on the beach and in that little condo down there. I mean, in that little double one.
Oh, okay. Okay.
We didn't have a choir until we got really into the sanctuary that they built.
Right. And on another time, I might want to talk to you a little bit about, building the sanctuary, the expansion of the church, and Pastor Robert Warren and all that kind of stuff. But we can do that at a different time. But is there anything that you want to mention about that period of time in your life?
What while we were no, I got we were we were getting settled into Gulf Shores, and that's when I started when I first moved down here. I was at loose ends. I didn't have a job to go to, and I was trying to make the transition between retirement and working every day. And somebody mentioned, so well, why don't you go down and volunteer to Christian Service Center? And I said, well, what's the Christian Service Center? And they said, well, about 2 years ago, the preachers and the ministers in Gulf Shores and Orange Beach all got together, and they said, hey, instead of when people have emergency situations, instead of them coming to our individual church offices for help, why don't we form a central place for them to go? And we'll put a food pantry in down there, and we'll staff it with all volunteers, so there'll be no money going towards salaries. All the money we raise will go directly to the cause. And I said, well, that sounds like a good idea. I'll go down there and ask them if they need anybody. So I called the Christian Service Center, and they said, yeah, we need somebody. Come in next Tuesday. Well, the following Tuesday, I came into Christian Service Center for my first day as a volunteer. And I remember that day for the rest of my life. The first client that came in that morning was a young girl in her early to mid-20s, and she had a small baby in her arms. What had happened is the day before, she, the baby, and her significant other crossed the Gulf Shores Bridge coming into town, and he pulls the car over to the side of the road, and says, our relationship is over. I don't ever want to see you or the baby again. And you certainly will never see me again. And he put them out of the car and drove away. And she's standing on the side of the road. Her purse is still in the car, so she has no money, no identification. All the baby stuff's in the back seat. She has no diapers, no baby supplies. All she has is the clothes on her back and a baby in her arms. Mm-hmm. They spent the rest of Monday, all day Monday and Monday night, under the Gulf Shores Bridge to get out of the rain. And the next morning, she walked into town and stopped at the First Methodist Church, and a volunteer brought them to the Christian Service Center. And they were both covered in mosquito bites. She hadn't eaten in a day and a half. The baby hadn't been changed in a day and a half. And she was in dire need of help. And so the Christian Service Center, we gave her food, we gave her baby supplies, we rented a motel room so she could rest and properly care for the child. And the next morning, Christian Service Center volunteer drove them to Mobile bus station. We bought her a ticket back to Arkansas, and we gave her traveling money for the trip. And the Christian Service Center has been helping people for the last 25 years.
Well, that's great. I sort of thought of them as just being involved in food donations, but they get involved in other things also, right?
Oh yeah, we pay people for rent. You know, you got the the single mom who's works in a restaurant and they close the restaurant because of a hurricane or whatever, and for whatever reason she loses her job, but she's looking for work, but her rent's due today, so we give her rent money for that. The woman that her doctor says she urgently needs to see a medical specialist at UAB in Birmingham. She doesn't have gas money for the trip. We give her gas money for the trip. The man who had COVID and can't work for 2 weeks, and they cut off his electricity because he hadn't paid his utility bill. We give him the money for the utility bill. These are the things the Christian Service Center does, and they do it, routinely every day. And then they've got the food pantry there. That's the largest food pantry on the Alabama Gulf Coast. Mm-hmm. We take donations in for that, and people bring food in, but the best thing to do is just give the center money, and then we can buy the food from the food bank in Mobile a lot cheaper than the grocery store. Going to a grocery store and buying it.
Oh yeah.
So, it's a great opportunity, and I've been affiliated with the Christian Service Center ever since we moved here.
I think that everybody that works there is just like a magnet. They're drawn to that place.
Yeah.
I think y'all probably have some angels working there that you can't see, some invisible angels. It's a wonderful place. Okay. So we know that the Christian Service Center has been a great part of your life in your retirement. And St. Andrew and singing in the choir there, and all the things that Joan Hand did, and Robert Warren pulling things together at the church. Is there anything else that came to mind? Did you play golf with?
No, I'm not a golfer.
Either. So, Anne passed away what, 2 or 3 years ago.
She passed away May the 25th on 2021.
Okay. And so you've been still retired after that, still singing in the choir, still just doing what you've always done. That's a good way to look at it. All right. Do you want to mention any other people in your life in Gulf Shores before we wrap this up?
Say that again.
Is there anybody else you want to mention that you know in the years that you lived in Gulf Shores?
Well, we had good friends on Lower Point Lane that we Scott and Sharon Ahola that and they both used to come to San Andrew, but they're going to a different church now.
That's AHOLA. So I'm going to spell these because the text to the speech to text software needs to know how to spell these. Okay, who else?
And and then we live next door to Tom and Kathy Rasnan.
How do you spell that?
I don't know.
Take your best shot at it.
Rasnein.
Okay, all right. Who else?
And on the other side of us lived and I can't think of his name right now, but he was across the street. I'm talking about on the same side that we were on.
Okay.
He was a victim of Agent Orange in Vietnam.
Okay.
And he was in a wheelchair, and I can't bring him and his wife's name up with me right now, but
okay.
Humans lived across the street.
And what was their
first name? Homer and Marge.
Homer and Marge Buman, B-U-M-A-N. Okay.
And their daughter goes to our church.
Suzanne. Yeah. I'll see Suzanne in about 30 minutes at the church because it's committee meeting. All right.
She's the daughter of Homer and Marge.
Yeah, I know that. Homer, I think she told me that Homer designed one of the walkways at the church. Was the architect.
He did design work.
That's great. Okay, we got to move along. So, anybody else you want to mention, or anything else about Gulf Shores?
Well, next door to Homer and Marge was Lorraine Getty. She's a real estate agent here in town. She doesn't live there anymore, but she lived there at that time.
How do you spell Getty?
Getti.
Okay. All right.
And next door to her was Dick and Brenda Jones.
Okay.
And I don't know what they did, what he did for a living. Okay. She was a Native American.
All right. Anybody else?
That's about it for the street.
Okay. You can add more in later if you want to, but for now, I want to go back and start all over and do this. We're going to have a lightning round. We're going to talk about the years, the dates of all the events, all the places you live. If it doesn't come to mind within 10 seconds, just say you can't remember. We'll talk about it for a second and then move on. So you were born in what year?
34.
All right. And then from there, we're going to jump to your high school graduation was
51.
All right. And you went immediately to the
Mississippi State College.
Right, Mississippi State, MSU, for
graduated in 55.
Yep. And then you went to Georgia for boot camp.
Yeah.
Right. So that would be 1955. And you probably in 1955 you went out to Texas, right?
Right. Fort Hood.
Okay. All right, and you were there how many years?
Maybe a couple of years, 56, 57, somewhere.
All right. Then you moved back to Starkville and you bought chicken houses and ran them for 2 years, right? Okay, 57 to 59.
That's right.
Okay. And what year did you go to work for Farm Bureau?
19, well, probably late part of 59.
Okay. All right.
But we got married in 59, yeah. Probably late part of 59, or maybe 60.
Wait a minute, something's not right here because she was 6 years younger than you, Ann was.
Yeah.
And I was thinking it was sometime after you came back. So you met Ann right away when you came back out of the military?
Well, yeah. So I don't remember how long I was out of the military before I met her, but
What's
it
your
was
wedding
not too
date?
long.
What was your wedding date?
Hell, I don't remember. Oh, it's in let's see, we got married in it's on my ring and I can't get it off my finger.
Okay, that's okay.
59, it was in 59. We married in, I think, August of 59.
Okay, that's close enough. All right, so then you came back in 1957. So I'm thinking that you actually met Ann when you came right after you came back from the military.
That's pretty close, yeah.
So you met her in 57, and then within a couple of years, you got married.
That's right.
All right. What is David Jr.'s birthday?
What is his what?
His birthday.
Hell, I don't remember without looking it up.
Do you know the year that he was born?
If you'll give me a minute, I'll tell you.
Nope. You can't take a minute. You can only take 15 seconds. You're going to look it up later. All right.
Then I don't know.
All right. Do you remember what city you were living in when he was born?
Vicksburg.
Vicksburg. Okay. So you got married in 1959. You were just about to get out of you got out of the chicken business and then went to Farm Bureau in 1959. And what city were you working in when you started with Farm Bureau?
Columbus.
That was your first employment with Farm Bureau in Columbus, Mississippi?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right. And now I'm getting crossed up. So
No. Wait a minute. No. Yeah. That's right. Columbus, Mississippi.
okay.
Farm Bureau.
All right. What was the next job that you had or location after Columbus?
That would be the Vicksburg job with the Corps of Engineers.
Do you remember the year?
No.
Just one. Okay. We still need to get David's date of birth, or at least the year he was born. No, Debbie. Debbie was older than David, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Do you remember where you were living or where you were working when Debbie was born?
Where I was working?
Yep.
Oh, I was probably working for Farm Bureau. I mean, I was probably working for maybe in the I don't know.
Okay. We'll figure it out later. So You can't remember what hospital was Debbie born in? Was it a Starksville hospital?
Yeah.
Okay, but I mean, y'all could have been living in Columbus or Vicksburg, and you could have been born in Starksville, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we get kind of a conglomeration of dates here. Do you remember the date that you went to Vicksburg? The year?
That I went to Vicksburg?
Yep.
That would have been probably 19. I don't know. I don't remember.
You remember anything
Probably,
that was going on in the world?
probably 1960, 61, somewhere along in there.
Okay. All right. So, and don't feel bad if you can't recall. You know, I have problems going back 10 or 15 years on a lot of things. So it's just part of the deal. So if you went to Vicksburg in 60 or 61, how many years apart are Debbie and Dave Jr.?
I don't remember.
No, I mean, what was the difference in their ages?
Well, she was probably a couple of 3 years older than him.
Okay, so probably when you went to Vicksburg, David had probably been born by then also.
No, he was born in Vicksburg.
Yeah, he was born. Great.
But Debbie wasn't born in Vicksburg. She was born probably at the Starkville Hospital.
Okay.
But where I was living, where we were living at that time, I don't remember that. That's too far back.
Have you got a record written down somewhere of Debbie and David's date of birth?
Yeah, I got it, but I can't get it because I'm on your Zoom thing.
Okay, don't worry about it. You can do it later. I'm going to give you a list of what I need later on anyway. Okay, after Corps of Engineers at Vicksburg, what was the next city that you lived in?
We went from Vicksburg to Hawaii.
Okay, and what year?
I don't know.
Can you tie in anything that was happening that year in the United States?
No.
Who was president? Do you have any idea?
No.
Okay. All right. So in Vicksburg, do you have any idea how long you worked in Vicksburg?
Mm.
1 year,
No.
10 year, 1 year or 10 years?
No. I was we worked in Vicksburg for maybe 3 or 4 years, I guess.
All right. So probably around 1964, 65, you moved to Hawaii.
Yeah, probably.
Okay. So just recollecting, I think that I don't think John Kennedy was president then. I think that would have been Eisenhower. Does that ring a bell for when you moved to Hawaii?
I don't. No, who was president when I moved to Hawaii? Why is that important?
Well, because it could give you a clue. Suppose you remembered who was president and remembered it was the year of the inauguration. That would tell us exactly when you moved to Hawaii.
Well, I don't know.
All right. Okay. So after Hawaii, where did you move to? Nashville?
Hawaii to Nashville.
All right. And do you know what year you moved to Nashville?
No.
You know how many years you lived in Hawaii?